In this lesson for Monument, we're going to look at the main vocal. Now, this is a really good vocal and it's going to take you a bit of time. Now, unlike task 1A, you will have to put this in as a real piece of audio. You're not allowed to use MIDI part, which I think is a fantastic addition. I just think, this is the way it should be. And you're going to start to see your mixing skills really progress just by the fact that you can use audio with MIDI. So that's what we've done here. We've recorded the girl's vocal and we've made sure that it's as clean as possible. Now, you've obviously got all the experience from doing task 1B and task 3B, but just remember you will need to use Pop Shield. You will need to use an environment that is relatively silent, and you will need to probably treat that room a little bit just to make sure that the kind of environment's good, and use a fairly decent condenser microphone. Once you've got your environment done, make sure the singer is using closed back headphones so no spill from your track goes onto the actual microphone sound itself. So we're looking for clean sounds. Some of the processing that you're going to have to do then will include maybe de-easing or de-essing, which basically takes away a lot of sibilance. Now the vocal that I've got here has got quite a bit of sibilance and I'm struggling to get rid of it, but what I do find is once it's in the mix, a lot of that's reduced anyway, so it doesn't necessarily cause a massive problem, but you should probably use a de-easer. You should definitely use a noise gate to get rid of any breathy sounds. Make sure you set the noise gate up so you get rid of any breathy sounds. And then a compressor, and then obviously some EQ. I then applied some reverb. The only thing that is up to you is this final one, which is the tape delay. I've just used a bit of tape delay because as it goes through, a lot of the thickness that we're getting is very kind of reminiscent of having multiple kind of takes, and that kind of comes from this tape delay. So this is the tape delay that I'm currently using to kind of thicken up the texture of my vocal. As you can see, they're all applied as send, so they're all got just a little bit applied on each one. I tend to use this as my order, so de-easer tends to go on top, followed by noise gate, followed by compressor, and then EQ. There is a chain, so depending on the way you order these will matter. The next thing is the vocal tends to be dead center. Unless there's something weird and wonderful happening, it does tend to be dead center, and you are looking for the loudest possible mix in most instances. However, in this track, what I'm finding is the bass sound and the drums tend to encapsulate the vocal, so it's drilled down a little bit. So you're going to have to find space within the frequency field to make the actual vocal punch through, okay? The mix does change as we go along, so you have to be very aware of that you're going to have to shape the instruments as you go along. And I'll just show you a little bit of the shaping that I'm doing. So if I press the A and show you the automation, you will notice that there are various kind of volume bumps. So here you can see the volume of the vocal drops down, and then it's kind of consistent. So I'll probably change that a little bit more. Then you obviously notice the sounds around the vocal are kind of dropping down to give the vocal just a little bit of space, especially in the second chorus. But other areas, as I progress with my mixing, you'll see a lot more of this happening. You will have to do this to give your vocal some space, and actually to give your whole piece a bit more of a dynamic feel. So getting a clean recording is part of the requirement. You do have to get a clean recording. You will be marked on it. Here's my vocal that I've got currently, so I'll just show you the vocal that I've got and then we'll show you in the mix.
Make a space for my body, dig a hole, push the sides apart.
Okay, so let me show you it in the mix.
Make a space for my body, dig a hole, push the sides apart.
And let me just show you theirs as well, just so you get a contrast of how I'm kind of matching up to the original sound.
Make a space for my body, dig a hole.
And you'll notice with my vocalist, she's not as punchy with her vowels. So this one is very kind of, it's quite short and abrupt, where the vocalist that I've got is kind of making them sweep a little bit more. And you are going to have to coax the best possible performance out of your vocalist. Now, I will share my screenshots for how I'm processing, but actually every vocal is going to be different and every processing situation is going to be different. So you're only going to be able to use what I'm doing here as a very tiny kind of indication of what you should be doing because of that particular fact. Now I want to draw your attention to just a couple of points, and I'm going to go through a bit of mixing. So you may want this, you may not. If you don't want it, you can probably stop the video in a second. If you do want it, I'm just going to show you how to cut up this end phrase. Now if we listen to the actual track, what you're going to hear is the end phrase has got this stutter effect. Let me just play it here and see what you reckon. And you got that with, okay, and it happens again at this point here. Let me just zoom out so you can see where it happened. So you can see you've got a stutter effect here, approximately bar 32, and you've got a stutter effect here at approximately bar 53. So let me come to bar 53 and just show you the second one, and then I'll show you the one that I've already done, and then I'll start doing the first one so you can see some of the techniques that I use to kind of get this. So here we go. And that just says when I'm, so that's the phrase when I'm, and that's it, okay? So you will have to kind of get that. Let me play you my one so you can see what I've got. Okay, I've got a bit of distortion there that I'm not very happy with. I'm going to have to go back and just have a little look at that. And it's one thing that you will have to be very careful of. Any distortion will lose you marks. So let me zoom out, and we're just going to look at the phrase and we're going to cut this piece up. So let me see what the phrase says first. So it just says all with, okay, so that's the phrase we're kind of looking for. So let me see what I've got. So I don't need that love bit, so let me get rid of that bit first off. Now here we go. So we have to kind of make a decision on how many times it kind of cuts up. So let me go down to ticks on this one so we can be a bit more precise about it. And we're going to need to zoom right in. And we're just going to see again. So let's listen to theirs. For my money, that was 3 on the all. So it's just this phrase here that we need to cut up. So let's go to our T tool and bring up our scissors. So I'm going to leave this second one alone. I'm just going to cut it about there. I'm going to get rid of all my white space as well. So go back to T tool, just get the pointer, delete that one. Now, let me see what they've got. One more listen. And then what have I got? Alright, so let's just cut that up. I'm going to cut that up 3 times, and then I'm just going to trim it, okay? So let's go tools, scissors, and it's all a bit of guesswork at the moment. So I'm going to do that first. There's my 3 cuts, and I could probably do one more, but we'll start there. Press tools, and now I'm going to select them all, and I'm just going to trim them, and then I'll start doubling. So let's see what we've got so far. And actually, that's not too bad. So let me just play theirs and see what they've got. Probably maybe a bit shorter. And let's see what they've got. Now, I'm going to just push them ever so slightly because, like I said, her phrasing is not quite 100%. We can make them a bit shorter just to make it glitch ever so slightly. Now on the other one I did have to double up a few, but actually I don't think I'm going to need to on this one. Let's just get that last one because it's a bit too pronounced. Okay, and just make sure we've got a similar thing. Let's just crop that up. And now the other thing that I did is I just put a little fade and a little reverse on the other one, but I'm not going to worry about the reverse. I'll show you how to do it, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. So we're going to go to our fade tool, T, and then fade tool, and we're just going to put a little fade here. Now this is really, really clever. We just want a little bit on this one. If you wanted to reverse a sound, is what I've done in the other end. You just click here, right click, And you can do this slow down effect, which is really quite cool. And it just gives you a nice little slow down effect. So let's just show you that. It may work, it may not. If it doesn't, we'll just kind of take it off. Yeah, that works. That was lovely actually. I'm going to leave that like that. And there you go, we've got the processing. We could probably do a bit more to it, but actually I'm not too sad about that. And let's just listen to theirs, make sure we're happy. Yeah, I could probably shorten those phrases ever so slightly. So let's come in there again and just shorten them up again. Oh, I'm still on the wrong tool. So let's come here. And play mine again, and I think I'll leave it at that. Now one thing I did notice, just listening back ever so slightly there to this bit, there was some distortion there, so I am going to have to come back into this, and I suspect that's my compressor, and I've had to hard compress this one, so you hopefully will not have to. I needed to make it punch through, so I'm using limiter, and I'm using some really quite hard compression techniques here. Every mix will different, every vocal will different. Hopefully you won't have to hard compress as much as I've had to do here, but it looks like I've gone a bit too far, so I'm going to have to kind of take it back. So get your vocal in, and then in the next lesson we'll look at some of the backing vocals.